I've started the I've started the recording. So we have enough people. Okay. So first of all, I'm very sorry today. We got a little delayed. My computer got locked out, and I was not able to get into that computer on time. Sorry about that. The only thing I wanted to talk about briefly before we hand it over to Vijay, our leader for the Kashmiri Shaivism Workshop series, I just wanted to say that we had a discussion about the format of how we want to conduct these remaining sessions as well as the advanced sessions. And basically, these remaining 2 sessions, we're going to continue in this webinar format. But after after these introductory sessions are over, we're going to start a series of advanced Shaivism workshops, and in those workshops, it will be more interactive, and we will not use most probably will not use the webinar format. We'll use a different Zoom format because it will be based on the videos from acharyas, and then a discourse might happen. Vijay will still lead those sessions, but it will be more interactive, as well as what we will also like people here to do is to step up and see if you want to take a lead on certain ideas or certain concepts, and prepare the content for everybody. So that's also for the advanced sessions. It's going to be a together learning. We will have access to the videos from the acharyas, but the learning will be together. So people, please step up, and if you want to lead some of those sessions, we can coordinate that also. So that's all the message I had today. I'm gonna hand it over to Vijay. Please go ahead.
Hello. Okay. Namaskar. So what I'll do is I'll spend a couple of minutes just flipping through the last time, whatever we cover, so that, it comes back to everybody. So then we can continue with the rest of the thing. So, and again, sorry for all this delay. And it was all being blamed on PC versus Mac. Or while we were waiting for you, Dilip ji, we were all also having some fun on the chat. So, so
Okay.
yeah, okay. So let me just go ahead and flip through this. So last session, we covered many topics, but one of the topics was tattvas, 36 tattvas, and there was some kind of a request to spend more time on that. So we'll probably be actually using that to really kind of have a deep dive on tattvas, because tattvas is a very important subject which is very unique to Kashmiri Shaivism because of the 36 versus 25 tattvas. So we'll spend some more time on that. So I had this recap of my one-page takeaway on Kashmiri Shaivism, which I had shared earlier also, but then I shared it last time, and also kind of I tried to connect or recall that our aim is to really see how Kashmir Shaivism helps in rethinking humanity, so that we have this optimistic view of the 2070 and so on. And we talked about some of the concepts there. I had some acknowledgements for the content, Lakshman Ju and Christopher Wallace. And then this was the outline. I changed the sequence a little bit today. But we talked about Shiva and Shakti and what are the obstacles in front of us to be able to achieve this self-realization, which is the goal of Kashmir Shaivism. And I spent some time on this. How do we identify ourselves? And every individual has a different weighted average where they identify themselves as. Some people, they think, oh, I'm so rich and all, and that's their identity. Some people are more, okay, I'm feeling so energized and all that stuff. So that was their identity. And every person has got a different weighted average. And of course, the most, the enlightened people who have gotten the self-realization, they are at the center, the para level. So we talked about all that. And then we introduced the concept of tattvas and why these tattvas are different from the elements that we use that we kind of have in the periodic table. We talked about all of that, and in fact, I've got some more things to share on that aspect, which we can do later. And then I showed tattvas in this manner. Basically, this thing on the right side is basically really the world that we see, the world we live in, including our thoughts and emotions and everything. That's what we live in, and that was the original tattvas. And then we have these additional tattvas on the left, which are the contribution of the Kashmiri Shaivism, and the 36 to 32 is where the divine exists. That's the transcendental divine, and we don't see it because we are veiled from that by the veils which are at the bottom of the left side. So that's the picture of the tattvas, and we talked about some of this, and I also showed this Chris Wallace representation of tattvas. And I just wanted to kind of tell you that last time when I did not actually clarify this, that this series, the sequencing here is in reverse. His numbering is highest is 0 and the lowest is 36, whereas the earlier one, it was the reverse. Like the lowest was 1 and the highest was Shiva, which was 36. So that is there. That is the difference in this picture and the other picture. And we will do a deeper dive session on this, as recommended in the last session. But I started actually working on some of the deeper dive concepts, and I captured those. I'll not go through those, but it's quite enlightening. It's going to be a fairly full 1 hour long. So um, uh, I'll talk about that. And then we cover the 5 powers or 6 powers of Shiva Shakti: Chit Shakti, Anand Shakti, Cha Shakti, Jnana Shakti, Kriya Shakti, and Swatantriya Shakti on the sixth one on the right side. And then how these Chit Shakti, these are all something that comes from the transcendental kind of level down to our the human body. And human body has its own Shaktis, which are manifestations of the goddess. And what I did not cover last time was that Elon Musk has got this new company, Neuralink, which is basically trying to kind of insert these chips inside the head, inside the cranium on the top. So this is where that the chip is located, here on the top of the cranial, and that's where the Sahasrara chakra is, and that's where our link to the transcendental level is. That's where we get all the inspiration and the insights and everything that shape our minute to minute or second to second thinking, and so on. So I just did not have time. I did not cover that last time, but it's kind of curious to see, kind of observe, make that observation. And then we talked about the 5 acts of creation and maintenance and dissolution and destruction, and then the concealment and the anugraha, and how these concealment and anugraha are not. I mean, anugraha, of course, is a good thing. Everybody wants to have anugraha, but this concealment is considered, okay, this is what is hiding the real divinity from me, and in that way it's bad. But no, it's not actually bad. It's part of the whole purpose of this universe. Is you cannot have this universe or this world without the concealment. The purpose will be defeated. So and we can have maybe more discussion later on that also, if you want. It can be another deep dive session. These three, I mean, what I did not say last time was that these 5 acts are responsible for the emergence of distant supernova and the galaxies and supernovas, and as very macro scale, this universal galactic or cosmic scale events happen, where this phenomenon happens. It also happens at this micro level, at our like you and me, our moment to moment cognition of objects, which is called Abhasa theory, and that's also another deep dive topic that can be there, and that's actually what informs the cognitive science. Today's cognitive science is actually going closer and closer to this Abhasa theory. So, and then we had this Q&A. So today we'll be going from here. So we are 20 minutes into this session, and so I'll start from here. before that, we're not having this as an interactive session. We're just going to open this for Q&A and interaction only later, right? Right, Dilip or Ashwini, I think that's what we decided. We're going to continue. Okay. Okay, I'm not hearing any response, so let me just continue. So I'm going to spend very little time on this 5 states of existence. We exist in this waking state, then we go to sleep, and during sleep we are in the dreaming state sometimes, and we are in deep sleep state sometimes where we're not dreaming, so our mind is completely at rest in the deep sleep. And then there's this the fourth one, which is called samadhi or turiya. This is where people, when they meditate, they are able to control their thoughts completely, and they go into this samadhi, and where there is no thoughts, and they go into this transcendental state that's called turiya. And that's what most of the pre-Shaiva Kashmiri Shaivism schools, they used to consider that as the highest. But in the Kashmiri Shaivism, the highest state is turiyatita. This is the state where you are actually in the samadhi, but also at the same time you are also living in the as a householder, and you are doing your day-to-day jobs, whether you're designing chips, or you're doing software, or you're doing some biotech research or whatever. So all of this is and if you do all of that, while you're doing all of that, you are in the state of samadhi where you are actually aware of the fact that you are Shiva. And that is the highest state of existence, which is the reason why Kashmir Shaivism is so strong on the householder, living as a householder. And so this is basically, in this Turyatita state, you are always aware. Whether you're waking, you're dreaming, you're deep sleep, you are always aware of your true nature, the Shiva in you, Shiva and Shakti in you. So I just wanted to spend very little time on this, but okay. So this is a weighty subject, this para walk, and let me. I remember this, Ashwini. Okay, para walk and language and expression. This is a very important contribution of Kashmir Shaivism, which is very unique, and no other school had this whole thing as well established. So Saraswati is the goddess of Kashmir, which is actually more in the Trika doctrine called Sharda, and so it's also called Paravak in the Trika doctrine. It's the highest principle of reality in this Trika doctrine, and that's why we Kashmiris hold the Sharda as the highest and Saraswati as the highest, and we are the ones who are like learning and all that is so highly emphasized in Kashmir. And we celebrate Godatraya, and that's one of the times when Saraswati is distributed to all the daughters and daughters-in-law and all that stuff, and kids. So this is basically coming because of the linguistic mysticism of Trika, and according to which Paravak is the harmonic animating principle for ideation and representation of the universe. So ideation, the way we represent and recognize the universe and different concepts and different objects, that whole thing is by this paravak. And as a result of this, basically what is that we form there is an internal symbolic units of language internal to us. These are the signifiers, and the objects, the external objects of experience are those which are signified. And so these two are the mirror images of each other, and one does not exist without other. So without the subject, without me, nothing else exists. If I don't have consciousness in me, there's no galaxy, there's no stars, there are no tables, there are no chairs, there are no brothers, sisters, nothing, right? So all of these subjects, the objects are there only because there's a subject. So this is the subject object relationship is governed by this paravak, this Saraswati. And there are 4 levels of Pararavak, and this is interesting and quite profound to understand. So basically, whatever we are saying, whatever we are talking about right now, for example, you and me are we are all listening to each other and talking to each other. All of this is happening. This is called Vaikhari. This is the ordinary everyday speech as we are engaged in now, and this is the most superficial level of Vak. This is the most superficial level of speech. And this is rooted in the differentiation or duality of facts and leads to so much conflict. So whenever I'm saying something, I'm filtering it from, it's coming from my deeper levels, but coming from the deeper levels, which I'm going to come to next, it's getting filtered by my thought constructs and all that stuff. So what I express is tainted. It's not real. It's subject to my internal dialogue. So the next level that is there is the Madhyama level. So before I speak something, there is something that I think. I think about it before I speak. And this is coming from my thought constructs, vikalpas they're called. So, my thought construct is, for example, because all of us, we got, displaced from Kashmir, and we have this internal, gripe against Pakistan and the terrorism and all that stuff. So everything that we do, we start seeing it from that lens. Everything that we say, oh, this fellow, this is the jihad and all, we all kind of get tainted by that. And that's because of our thought constructs, which have been, which have gone into our psyche. So vikalpas are distorted and oversimplified stories, narratives of reality rather than reality itself. These are narratives. So there are upayas, there are means to dissolve these vikalpas because they pollute our original thinking, the pure thinking, which would be coming from the para level, is obstructed by this or distorted by it. Deeper than madhyama is the pashanti level, which is how we envision. Before we think, we envision things based on wordless precognitive will or icha. So before we think, we will. We think we want something. We desire something, and that also gets tainted by our deeply held samskaras, and this deep subconscious programming or hunches that they arise from these samskaras, and they are working on this deep intuition that we have rising from the para level. So there are upayas to dissolve programming. That means these deeply held samskaras. Again, this is similar to what I said earlier. We as we grow as 5-year-olds, 6-year-olds, 7-year-olds, we get these samskaras. Yamshas Jan samskar. You know, so these samskaras are also some things that pollute our true reality. Okay, so there are upayas to resolve this programming also through meditation and through mantras and japas and all that at the pashanti level. And para is the higher non-duality of free and blissful self-reflection, which is beyond words, from which above three arise, these Vaikhari, Madhyama, and Pashanti. So this level simultaneously transcends source of all things and yet expresses all things, and this is the level which expresses, you know, uh, everything that we see, whether it's trees, gods, demons, birds, death, wonder, all of this is actually fueled by para. Without that para, we'll not be able to express anything, we'll not be able to imagine anything, we'll not be able to, even uh, envision anything. Okay, so this is the parawak language and expression, the theory of that. And you must be all knowing that our grandmothers. So by the way, this is secret. This is because, as I said, this is beyond words, and it's very hard to to express this para level in our daily language or daily thought processes, because this is beyond thought processes. This is not, when I was showing that the tattvas, map of tattvas, this goes beyond the 25 tattvas. It goes into the Shiva and Shakti level, which is transcendental. So it's not easy to logically explain this whole thing. So that's why in Kashmir Shaivism there are a lot of things which are considered to be secret. Secret means they're beyond words and comprehension. That's why they're secret. So you don't want to say it, because by saying it you're distorting it, because you're going through Madhyama, Pashanti, and Vaikhari level. So you're distorting it because of that. And that's the way it's supposed to be, by the way. But because we don't want to dilute, or we don't want to pollute what para really means, therefore it becomes a secret. So I just wanted to kind of say that. But at the same time, I also wanted to say that this para level actually can come through. It doesn't have to get filtered out through Pashanti and Madhyama, because we could have gone through the means, the practices, so that we can dilute those thought constructs and the deeply held samskaras. They can be dissolved. They can be dissolved. So if they are dissolved, the real insight, pure insights, come to us, and we speak them as the Vakri level. So in Kashmiri, the grandma used to bless me, for example, for us, for all of us. Gas Saraswati Vaishnav Mokaspet. That was what basically your Vaikri, your lips should speak what the Saraswati is saying. So that's the thing that I kind of realized after reading this, that this is what our grandmothers used to say. In fact, my mom, she used to watch this TV, and she used to listen to some of these people, giving speeches, and she used to say, "Emishe Saraswati Makaspet." So this is the concept, and we had kind of forgotten all about this whole theory, Vaikri, Madhyama, Pashanti, and Para, but that's what was coming behind those blessings. And I have put a link here. There's a whole Matrika Chakra, which is basically a theory of alphabets. So how the word letters form words, and how the words form sentences, and how we express through those sentences and words, and how all of those letters and words are actually being worshipped by Kashmiris as goddesses themselves. And we used to actually have a puja where young girls, they used to be called matrikas. We used to do, puja for them. We used to have them, and then we used to do puja. So anyway, I mean, there are these, this whole, according to this whole this theory, the cognitive process that we have, when we see some object, we recognize some object, and then we then basically there has to be a subject to do that, see that. There are there are Sanskrit alphabets for all of these processes, this series of things. And according to Krama theory, it is basically about 12 kalis of destruction, creation, and stasis. And there are this, again, it could be a deep dive topic. There are these 4 multiplied by 3 is equal to 12, therefore 12 kalis. And there's a cognitive process that goes on, and could be very interesting for the cognitive scientists today. So and this basically, this all about language, right? So I think I mentioned it last time that after CPU and GPU, the computing processing unit and the graphical processing unit, the next big thing in technology is, in the AI hardware, is LPU, the language processing units. And this theory could inform some of that, because it's very, see, the thing is, all of this evolved over thousands and thousands of years, and it was all thrown, it was all wasted, because it was all killed. The books were killed, the books were burnt, all that, the whole knowledge was lost. So 5,000 years of work, if it is renewed and rediscovered, restudied, it could inform this whole thing that we have achieved in the last 600 years, after the Industrial Revolution, or after the Dark Ages were over in Europe. That's when this whole science and technology got a reset and started. So in this 600 years, we could not have achieved what those people achieved in 6,000 years. So that's why this whatever we had learned is of interest to these modern breakthroughs that are being done. By the way, the AI that is being done right now, the AI is still based on CPUs and GPUs, and it's very inefficient. And now they are saying that we need to come up with this new hardware structure called LPU. So, okay, a fun fact about Maitrika Pujan that we used to do, there was Manjhar Tahar, it used to be called Manjhar Tahar, and it used to be celebrated. And this is, by the way, from KashmirAsItis.com. That's where I got it. So this is the day celebrated with belief that sound is the divine Shabda Brahma, and language has been derived from the divine Damru of Lord Shiva. And these sounds, which are 14 in number and divided into 8 groups of consonants and vowels, are called Maheshwara Sutrani. And the vowels begin with A, and consonants begin with Ka, Cha. It's like Ka, Kha, Ga, Na, Cha, 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 Ja, Na, Ta, Tha, Da, Da, Na, Pa, Fa, Ba, Ba, Na, and all that stuff, right? So these are the vowels and consonants. And it was very interesting. I saw that we have this prayer called Amai, Kamai, Charvangai, and all. Remember? So this is all coming from A, Ka, Cha, Amai, Kamai, Charvangai. These T, P, Y, Sh. So this is just a fun fact. I thought I'll just come and share with you. This is all based on very profound structure of language. And this in ancient times, this day was actually celebrated to initiate the schooling of the children. Therefore, the prayers were offered. Okay, so this is it. Okay, so this is a fun fact. Now, the next topic I have is the 3 impurities, or the malas. And these malas are the ignorance. And this is not to be seen in a negative way. This ignorance is okay, because this is the organizing principle of manifestation. It's necessary for the individual to operate in this world according to the will of Shiva and Shakti. We have to have these malas, okay, these ignorances. Otherwise, we won't be functioning as we, because we are all differentiated. We are all supposed to be different people. We are all having our own unique properties. So that won't be possible if we don't have these malas, and it's all okay. So the one is anamala, which is the ignorance of individuality. This is the fundamental ignorance that I am this tiny person, I'm insignificant, I'm a powerless creature, and there's nothing divine in me, uh, and this is the primary cause of suffering, blocking access to freedom and bliss of supreme consciousness. This is the fundamental anamala, is the fundamental ignorance. Then there is this mayimala, differentiation. This was first one is about I'm nothing, I'm zero, I'm tiny, insignificant person, and not the Shiva that actually I am. I am Shiva, because whoever is talking right now is this ultimate consciousness, or supreme consciousness. Mayimala is a little different. It says it looks at me as different from others. I perceive differences and not the underlying unity that is there between everything, objects and subjects, and different, different people are different. So I see everybody as different, and I have this, because of this mala, I have this thing that, oh, I need to get this and not that fellow. I have competition and all that stuff. So that is the Mai mala. And I had earlier in one of the sessions talked about Tagore's conversation in 1930 or 39, was it? I don't recall. It was with Einstein, on the existence of whether the table and the moon and all of that, whether it exists when I'm not looking. And so that is basically Mahimala. And Tagore was trying to tell Einstein that no, it doesn't exist if you're not looking, because if there's no perceiver, it isn't there. So that is Mahimala, and I've got a link here which you can actually read that whole interview. And then next one is Karma Mala, which is basically due to the first 2 malas, we strive, we do the karma to get all the advantages which are driven by attachment to outcomes. So I want to have this outcome. I want to build a mansion on that top of that hill. So because I am different, and I want to take it from somebody else, and I want to defeat that fellow and get this empire. And so that is the karma mala. And this is sometimes it becomes extremely divisive. It becomes cause of extreme suffering. and it has got karmic repercussions. And it's all about this me and others, and so it leads to the actions which are self-centered actions. Okay, and there are upayas which which are able to dissolve these. So there are malas begin to dissolve by urge for seeking the experience of fullness. And when we have that urge for experiencing that fullness, it's called Shaktipat. And in Kashmir Shaivism, there are 27 levels of intensity of Shaktipat. Some people have a very weak Shaktipat, and they graduate over to more stronger Shaktipaths and so on. And there's very sophisticated models, the 27, precisely 27 levels of intensity of this, and there's a map associated with it, and there are subtle signs that have been shown. Okay, if you have got this weak thing, this is the sign that you'll start crying at seeing everything nice, or you'll not be crying because of suffering, you'll be crying because of awe. So those kinds of things are signs of Shaktipat, and all of that is described in Kashmir Shaivism sutras. And there are four kinds of upayas that are used to relinquish these stories or images of myself and recognize my essential wholeness. So, celebration of differentiation by embracing it and not devaluing it. So, as I said earlier, this differentiation is not bad. These malas are not bad, but as long as we embrace those malas and devalue and dissolve them, it becomes a positive thing instead of a negative thing. So think about this as an actor playing a role in a movie or a play. So if that actor is suffering in that role, is crying and he's suffering and is like in a bad shape, but that person knows that, hey, I'm just doing this because I'm doing a play, and in fact he feels great, fantastic, that I did a fantastic job in depicting this role. So that's the joy that one is supposed to feel, because one knows that, hey, I'm not this, I'm just playing this role, I'm not this. So that's how this upayas actually change your paradigms, and you start not seeing these things as negative, but you start seeing these as positive. So the hero is not hating the villain in real life. And stop being the person who performed those selfish karmas. So similarly, in the selfish karmas, if we realize this, if we are able to dissolve our malas, we'll be able to, uh, we'll be able to overcome those karmas and start doing kriya instead of karma in future. So, uh, so this expanding the sense of self is hugely relevant for rethinking humanity towards common good. Okay, and paving the way towards the optimistic view of the 100th day that I was talking about. This is my theme. We want to kind of keep on telling us that all of this is relevant for our current day world, where we are facing a crisis on the planetary front. Okay, so about the practices, the upayas. The upayas are actually building on something which has happened in the past. In the past, and Patanjali had this yoga sutra, and it had got this Ashtanga yoga, eightfold yoga, and this was like 100 BC or 200 BC, around that time. That was the time when only 25 tattvas were known, and Patanjali had this eightfold yoga foundation. They're called yamas, and which are moral discipline, niyamas, which are observances that they used to do. Then there were asanas, physical postures, pranayamas, which are breathing techniques. Then pratyahara, which is basically withdrawal, meditative kind of withdrawal, but it was not called meditation those days. And then dharana, concentration, dhyana, and samadhi, bliss. So these are the things that were already there about 100 years before Christ. And Patanjali was the guy who really came up with this. So whatever tantric practices are, they are actually built on these. And in the 8th century, Kashmir Shaivism defined the descent of grace or Shaktipatha to cause longing for self-realization. And they introduced this practice called Diksha ceremony. And as I said earlier, there are 27 levels of intensity of Shaktipatha, and Diksha used to be given to people who were seekers, and it was granted in stages by an enlightened guru in a rigorous ceremony that used to happen, in the 8th century time frame. After a test, they were given a test qualification. They were tested whether they are ready for it or not. And apparently, this is still being performed. This Diksha ceremony is still being performed in Chidambaram temple in Tamil Nadu. And the last Diksha that happened in Kashmir was in the 18th or 19th century, something like that. And there are three means of upaya. So once you have this Diksha and you are on this way, got the Shakti Pada, now you have the means. There are three kinds of means: Shambhava upaya, Shakti upaya, and Anavapaya. So Shambhava upaya is accessing consciousness through direct intuition. So it's intuitive, and you get this. It's like some people who get it, and maybe it's past lives or whatever, but they get it. They're born like that. And Swami Lakshmanji could be like that. Then there are Shakti upaya, a method that works with thought constructs and feelings. You're not doing any physical exercises and all that stuff, but you're using your intellect and thought imagination to really do these dharanas and stuff. And then the Anavapaya is the one where we are actually working with our body, our breath, our imagination, and all. And this is built on the Patanjali's base that I talked about earlier. And there's a fourth upaya, and that's called Anupaya. It's not Sambhav, it's not Shakti, it's not Anav, but it's Anupaya. This is non-means. That means this is extremely rare, but this is an intense Shakti para that people get spontaneously, spontaneous awakening, completely and permanently with no practice at all. There's no practice. You don't have to be a good person to do this. You can be anybody. And this happens, and that's why this is like, it's grace. It's like anugraha. And, I have been listening to and watching this lady who's called Sadhvi Bhagavati Saraswati. She's basically a Jewish lady who studied at Stanford. She was a psychology or psychology, I think, a scholar there. She was doing PhD. And she just happened to just go to India, and she happened to go, to Rishikesh, and she just spontaneously got this when she went to the the banks of Ganga. And I got a link here which basically describes her experience. She just got it, it just happened to her. So if you listen to that, you'll see what that is. And then, of course, it's my interpretation that this is what this Anupaya means. Okay. Then there are this other Shambhovapaya, which is the most refined and direct para-level intuition from free will, the Swatantriya Ichha Shakti that we talked about earlier, free will, leading to precognitive wordless insight. It needs no practices, no physical practices, no mental practices. And there is a book, Vijnana Bhairava, which is basically one of the scriptures of Kashmiri Shaivism. It has got 112 exercises in it, and there are 112 verses which describe those exercises. And some of those are actually of this Shambhavapaya level. So in this Shambhavapaya, people are open to grace to find divine teaching in every experience as one goes about our normal business from moment to moment. It requires a quiet mind to dwell on the awareness itself rather than the filters through which the mental constructs work. It's very hard in this noisy modern world where we are already always distracted and we never have a quiet mind. We're always distracted by our phones and by our TVs and by our, day-to-day things. But if you have a quiet mind and you have a meditative mind, you can be in this Shambhovapaya thing. And then Shaktopaya, let me just, because we lost about 15 minutes, I will see if I can finish this. But Shaktopaya is the empowered means where we're purifying our mind, replacing misaligned stories with or mental constructs, which are called Ashuddha Vikalpas, with aligned ones, Shuddha Vikalpas. So we're moving from Ashuddha, we're refining them from Ashuddha Vikalpas to Shuddha Vikalpas. We're changing our perceptions about things. So this is similar to yoga asana, but it's not the body that we're using. We're using the heart and mind, Jnana Shakti, instead of the body. And this is related to Shakti. This is also related to Shakti driven transformation, as it involves energy, vibration, spanda of the thought, and energy of emotion, heart, in a holistic way. So, Tantra Illuminated has a 1 hour long discussion on Shaktopaya, and it talks about the Tantra Loka chapter 4, which was actually recently released by Lakshmanju Academy in 2023. So this Shaktopaya is a fairly long topic, and I think that can also be a deep dive. And Anopaya is the one that most of the people can use. Ordinary people like most of us. This is where we are basically using body. These are the embodied means. Appropriate place to start for vast majority of us experiencing ourselves as differentiated embodied individuals, which is called Anava, living in this reality. But even this is manifestation of Shakti, but this body is Shakti itself. This everything that is manifest is Shakti. So that's why, all of these, even this, the middle one is called Shaktopaya. Reality, all of these is Shakti, because this is all manifestation. So here, rather than focusing on awareness, this Upaya uses actions, Kriya Shakti, in objects of awareness like body, breath, subtle body, energy bodies, chakras, all of that is Anavipaya. This is easiest of the three means to understand and practice with sense faculties, vital energies, mantras, yogic postures, ritual worship. So all of this is Anavapaya. So there are some examples here. Federico Fagin, who invented microprocessors first, and then second, and then third, when he wanted to introduce consciousness in microprocessors. I think that he was a Shambhavapaya level, but I put a question mark there. I'm not sure. But again, there's a link here which basically talks, which has got an interview with him where he describes his experience and how he transformed himself, how he got transformed. So he did this diamond way course or practices, and that was kind of Shambhavapaya. And then Shakti Upaya, I have an example of Rajaf Chopra, who wrote Tao of Physics. So before he wrote Tao of Physics, he had this experience of after the immersion in knowledge. So basically, he studied nuclear or theoretical physics so deep that this was like Shakti Upaya. It doesn't have to be Kashmiris who know this. Anybody, they all do it without knowing what's happening, and then they say, "Oh yeah, this is what happened to me." And so I believe that was Shakti Upaya for him, Pujak Kapra. And the last one, Gopi Krishnan, who was actually living in Karanagar in Kashmir, he had, I believe, Ana Upaya, because he did meditation and practices yoga extensively from the age of 18. And it was only in his 30s or 40s that he actually got this transformation. And when he got that transformation, suddenly he was a clerk, head clerk or something in an office. And when he got this transformation and he dissolved his vikalpas and all, he suddenly became so productive that he learned 17 languages. Not only did he learn, he wrote poetry in those 17 languages. And he had so many disciples from all over the world. So anyway, I just wanted to kind of show you these upayas. And again, as I said earlier, listen to this excellent 1 hour long, easy explanation of Shakti Upaya in Tantra Illuminated, which is chapter 114 on the audible version and page 365 to 383 on the printed version. And by the way, the Shiv Sutra, some of us are actually attending this the Sangha with the Swami Lakshmanju Academy. And we're going through the second awakening right now. We finished the first awakening already. Second, there are 22 sutras in the first awakening, which is all related to Shambhavapaya. Second awakening is about Shaktopaya, and that's got 10 sutras. And the third awakening is about Anavapaya, and that's got 45 sutras. So I just wanted to kind of tell you that. That is. So my simple takeaway is that living life mindfully and meditatively, even making and deploying capital, making money or deploying money is not bad, but doing that as a means to an end for the collective good. That's what this collective bliss is. This collective bliss is all about living meditatively, mindfully, and using that as a means for collective good. and whatever we're doing, whether it's, Fajin was making microprocessors and he completely changed the world and a collective good, or you know Abhinav Gupta for the collective good wrote all those books, Tantra Loka and everything. That's what this my simple takeaway is. And I have a fun fact here. In located in town of Gelefu in southern Bhutan, the 1,000 plus kilometer long, large master plan titled Mindfulness City. So they're making a city where these big builders from, who built Dubai and all these Gulf cities, big Arup and Sistri, they are building this mindfulness city in Bhutan, which is informed by the Bhutanese principle of gross national happiness index and the country's strong tantric heritage. They have embedded all of that in the design of this mindfulness city. And so there is a mindfulness city link here, which you can kind of go to and see what they're trying to do. Okay. So mindfulness, the reason I'm saying this is mindfulness, living mindfully is what all these upayas are all about. Doing our work in a mindful manner where we are living in the present and meditatively doing our work. It's like meditative work, like whether we're doing art, whether we're designing microprocessors, or whatever we're doing. Okay, we are almost at the top of the hour, and I wanted to kind of talk about this importance of Shakti, but I don't know whether we can.
Yeah, so today I'm requesting people to stay for a little bit longer because we wasted some time in the beginning. Unfortunately, I apologize for that one more time. But if I request that we stick around for a few more minutes, if that's okay, and continue with this what you want to complete, and then also I'm ready to launch the quiz whenever we can. So I still want to, maybe we can take a quick quiz break and then we can resume with this.
Okay? I'm not sure whether we can take a quiz break because I have not covered this yet.
Okay, so then
let me try to do this quickly, and then we can do a quiz break. Okay. So there was a question earlier. What is the importance of Shakti in performing? What is the importance of Shakti in Kashmiri Shaivism? So at a high level, what I want to say is that, as I said in the upayas, we are using our body, senses, speech, mind, whether it's Shakti upaya or whatever, we are using these senses. And all of these are manifestations of Shakti. Without Shakti, none of this would be there. And I'm just summarizing this whole thing. Without Shakti, even Shiva is nothing. It's a vibrationless, inert void. Without Shakti, it's nothing. Manifestation happens because of Shakti, and our body, our mind, our emotions, and our everything in it is because of Shakti, and that's why Shakti is the more important thing in Kashmiri Shaivism. So even the body, the body, it holds the creative energy of divine love making. In these chakras that we have, one of the chakras is sacral chakra, Swadhisthana. And in that chakra is where the sexual organs live. And in the Kaula lineage, that those practices were also used to reach the divine. Okay, and in the current world, this tantra is actually misinterpreted, and they're putting a lot of focus on sexual practices in the West. But in reality, Swadhisthana is not about sexual creativity, but about the creativity in general. And just like we said that, we live in the different layers of our existence. We think about, whether I'm rich or poor, or whether I'm energized or not, or whether I'm really fully aligned with the reality. Just like that, even the sexual thing is at different levels. Okay. And in Kashmir Shaivism, living as a householder instead of an ascetic is because of the creative energy that we have, which must be used in the world rather than just kept and wasted in the ascetic withdrawal. So There are a couple of things. Kola ritual for when Abhinavagupta was born. Apparently, his parents used a Kola ritual uh, to conceive him, and that is supposed to be, according to Abhinavagupta's story, that's supposed to be the reason why he became such a great master. Okay, so every newborn holds the Siddha potential that Abhinavagupta had to discover from the field of all possibilities, and and achieve the Shiva's place of self-recognition. So Shiva is trying to manifest this every newborn to be able to see, discover himself through that newborn with the Siddha potential that newborn has. And Abhinav Gupta was one example. And, Federico Fagin is another example. Also, they're all Siddha. They have got these capabilities which are beyond ordinary. And we need that Siddha. We need so Siddhas today to innovate for the optimistic 2070. So that's why this is importance of Shakti is actually very profound. And I'll show you a little bit more about this in the next one. And by the way, I don't want to say that Shakti was not being worshipped before Kashmir Shaivism came. It was, but it was more a mythological thing. We have 51 Shakti Pithas in the country. And not only in India, they are also in Nepal, Tibet, Bangladesh, Bhutan, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Tibet, according to this Tantra, that they're all there. So, but what happened in the 8th century that, Kashmir put a more refined and scientific touch to this whole concept of Shakti and reintroduced that into the mainstream. And that's why it resonated across the subcontinent. And Shankaracharya actually wrote this whole refined method or refined version of Shakti Puja in the Saundarya Lahari. And the Shakta traditions from Kashmir became more profound. But it was easily accepted because it was already there in the whole subcontinent. And as you know, all Kashmiris have this Kul Devi, whether it is Zichir or Tulmul or Parbat or Jala Devi. We all have that because Shakti thing. And the body is a temple of Shaktis, and as you can see here, we talked about Icha, Ananda Shakti, Icha Shakti, Jnana Shakti, and all. These are all the transcendental kind of Shaktis that come as Parvati, Durga. This is all. This is the insight that we gain, and we gain this through our Sahasrara chakra. And then we have rest of the body where we have got these energies. Creativity, for example, I was talking about is in the sacral chakra, and then love and compassion and authenticity, discernment, confidence, determination. All of these are in different parts of the body, and these are chakras. And this is not something you can dissect and find it here. Okay, I'm going to do a dissection and I'm going to find it here. These are energies. Okay, and this is not material. Okay, and today, actually, I was in I don't know, maybe some of you also attend that, the Sangha. And, they talked about churning by Shiva of Shakti into the super sexual creative bliss. And there's some thing, it's actually Shiv Sutra 2.3 that was discussed today at the Sangha. And they also referred to the Secret Supreme, chapter 17 and 18. So we could actually do this, study this, and have a deep dive into this whole Kundalini process, Kundalini rising process. This is something that everybody hears about, but it's very mysterious, and it has got like four stages of Kundalini: subject, cognition, object, integration, and all that stuff. So we could actually have a deep dive in this. So another fun fact I want to say. Um, uh, give me a couple of minutes to do this. Our body has got 32.7 trillion cells in every human being, and each of those cells, each one of those trillions of cells is fueled by mitochondria, which is basically where many of you who are cell biologists and all would recognize that easily. And this is true not only for humans but also for animals, plants, and even fungi. And so each of these cells has got these mitochondria, and these are the mitochondria. And these mitochondria are basically organelles found in the cells of that are responsible for generating energy, Shakti. for the cell. And this is also called the powerhouse of the cell. And it so happens that the DNA inside the mitochondria is passed down from the mother to her children and is exclusive to the female gamete. So it always comes from the mother, not from the father. All of the parts of every cell, 50% comes from the DNA, come from the mother, and 50% from the father. So it's a very, fun fact. It's basically Shakti, which is energy, generating energy, Shakti, only coming from others. Is there anything deeper in it? Are women designed as a special manifestation of Shakti? What did ancient seers know that the modern cell biologists do not see? So I just wanted to kind of share this fun fact with you. So I will not go through this at this stage. Let's do the question answers or Q&A.
Okay. I will go ahead and launch the quiz for today. 1 second. Okay, so I've launched the quiz. Please go ahead and answer that. Is everybody able to see the quiz? Please say in the chat that you're able to see it. One person. Okay, thank you.
By the way, this third one I have not covered because, sorry, fourth one I have not covered. So forget about that one. You can try.
Some people attend Sangha also, maybe they already know.
Yeah, I don't think it has been covered there either.
I'm seeing the results coming in here. Still trickling in, rather.
After the Q&A, we can spend a few minutes sharing. I can share what I discussed with Rakesh ji and you were talking about in the beginning. So I can share that a little bit more.
Yeah, particularly the topics for the advanced classes, which you alluded to that during the course today. So we could maybe take down those lists and then prioritize and also.
We can prioritize in the next session.
Correct.
Or the session after that, because we want to do the historical perspective and the miracle.
Correct. Yes, I still see 6 people have responded. 7 now, so I'm still waiting I'll still give some more time for it. Please respond quickly so we can move on. So I'm thinking about 5 more people have to respond. I'm not sure why I wouldn't.
You want to maybe summarize and we can move on?
Okay, so I think we're seeing here about 8 people have answered, and some only 6 have. In some questions, only 6 have answered, but that's okay. So let me go ahead and end the quiz, and then maybe I can publish the results, and then we can talk about it. Okay, here I'm sharing the results. Can you see the results or no?
No, last time to go after the results session.
You want to results to you?
But let's ask the audience because that was the difference last time. So if someone from the audience can confirm whether they're able to see the answers.
Okay, I'm actually I turned on the answers.
Yeah. Yeah, I see the answers.
Yeah, I turned on the answers now. Okay, so if you're not able to see, I think 6 out of the 8 people answered correctly. Only one person answered the first question as Ishwara, and then one person answered Bhaira. All other 6 answered it correctly. On the second question, we had none answered it correctly. Everybody answered, 3 out of 6 answered Shambhava Upaya.
No. Actually, I think I must have made a mistake.
Anupaya.
It was Anaupaya. Gopi Krishnan was
Anaupaya.
Anaupaya. Yeah, is that a correct answer?
Only 1 out of 6 answered Anaupaya.
Okay, so that's the answer. Actually, I must have screwed up.
Okay, no worries, that's okay. The third question, the impurity of differentiation, 5 out of 6 answered Mayamala.
Good.
Yeah, and 1 out of 6 answered Anamala. And the fourth, 3 out of 6 answered Utpal
Correctly.
Deva.
Utpal Deva. Okay.
Yeah, and 1 out of 6 answered Abraham Gupta, and then like that.
Okay. All right. So let me quickly spend a little time. I wanted to kind of basically, we showed. So we shared this 5 acts of God, this thing. I wanted to kind of just, we had this statement here: destruction of the old story and creation of the new story in the age of freedom. All of these things I had said earlier. So I was trying to here map these to all these concepts that we discussed in tattvas and all, and basically connect it back to rethinking humanity. So another fun fact: there was a job opportunities in the last maybe few weeks for recent PhDs in algebraic geometry, Department of Cognitive Science at UC Irvine. And I got this from by listening to Don Hoffman, which actually came on May 30th, 2024, and it's got 174K views already. And he talked about his job opening. This is the job opening: mathematics of consciousness and network of conscious agents. So the premise here is that consciousness, not space-time and its objects, is the fundamental reality and can be usefully described as a network of conscious agents. So this was something that really resonated with the Kashmiri Shaivism thing. And here is this paper on objects of consciousness. And there's some kind of summary that I captured here. But anyway, these links are there. I can share those also with them. So this is what Rakeshji told me when I shared with him and talked to him about how should we go ahead and do the deep dives. So, his hesitation was that, these people, there are a lot of these acharyas who spend a lot, they have their Vimarsha group, and there is Chris Wallace has got his own Tantra Illuminated group, and some of these are behind paywall where people pay and attend these lectures. And even Sangha, one is supposed to be doing some donations and all. So it's unfair to call them and spend their 1 hour. First, they have to prepare for it and then so he said that it's better that we actually utilize all the content that's already there in the digital domain. And then we can collect it and we can put it together and have these discussion sessions around them, like Dilip ji was saying. And these lectures which have been made, they are very well prepared and high quality, and they have been made for like MIT audiences and similar audiences, and they're mostly on YouTube. So we could actually utilize them, and we could we could first next time or the session after that collectively define deep dive topics like tattvas, shaktas tradition, or kundalini, or whatever. We can make that align on it, and then we can go and prepare for it collectively. Maybe like Dilip said, I can take the lead, and then we can work offline to prepare for them.
Absolutely.
And of course,
what I'm also thinking is that we could publish some of these topics on the chat that we have, these deep dive topics, and people can add to that. We can make also a document where we can put these and make it editable. People can write into that. we can do that also. And
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, there were some slides that I had kept for this, but I decided that I'll move them to the history session. These slides that I had set here, so I'm moving them to the history session. So next time we'll do the history and miracle of survival, and all of this will be captured there.
all right. So if you're done, Vijayji, there's only one question. Somebody has asked the question. I think it was about how many participants are there today. We have about 11 participants right now, but earlier
Panda, Panda, Panda. Oh, that includes us.
Includes the panelists too. So,
Okay.
Earlier there were about 14 or 15, but those people who hung out for later time also, there are about 11 participants is what I'm seeing. There is another question. Okay, the question was is Matrika and Shakti same?
Yeah, there Shakti is the world. So Shakti has got thousands of forms. That's just Sahasranam Samanam, Sahasranam. Shakti or Bhagavati Sahasranam or Lalita Sahasranam. There's like thousands of names. So yeah, Matrikas are all Shaktis. These are all embedded in words, different parts of our body, different emotions. All of that is Shaktis.
Okay, so there are no other questions that are there, but I think we completed our session today, and thank you for staying for later time. Please share your topics of deep dives in the chat, and then those advanced sessions after these next couple of sessions, the advanced after these next two foundational sessions, we'll go into the advanced deep dive sessions, and the format of that, we will not probably use the webinar format. We'll use more interactive format on that, so that people can chime in more frequently. And then also there's the opportunity of different people leading some of the sessions with the help of Vijayji. Vijayji still being the sort of the top instructor, but he needs support in preparing the content and help in leading some topics. So if you like to volunteer, and
particularly because we want to make it interactive,
and if you're interested in these topics at a deeper level, please raise your hand in the chat, think about it, and then share your name or step up for doing that work.
Yeah. So our next session will be actually before the long weekend, the 4th of July long weekend. And we'll try to complete the history session. And then after the long weekend, we'll have one more where we'll be linking it to different scientific topics of current day age, So, and then after that, we'll have the deep dives. And deep dives may not be every 2 weeks, we'll try, but they may need more preparation.
It was really good session today, Vijayji. Very interesting. At least I found it extremely interesting today. Thank you so much for doing this, and thank you everyone for joining today. See you in the next one. Bye-bye.
Bye.